Hey everybody, I'm doing something today that I have never done before, showing you what things look like for me when I log in to my Call of Duty account on the Xbox. This is new for me because previous to now, I've never taken Call of Duty at all seriously. I have dabbled, just dabbled. I've done all the campaigns for quite a long time. Going back to the original Modern Warfare, but I've only just dabbled beyond that. And you can see up in the upper right hand corner that I am rank 155, which is max officer rank for season 1. As I'm recording this, I am just 1 week before the end of season 1, and I also did season 0. I wasn't even thinking about the reset, didn't even realize it. Actually, at that time, got up to about 136 there. I have unlocked all the operators except for Nikto, because Nikto you had to pay a lot for, and it just wasn't worth it to me. So I'm going to spend most of the time in this video talking about my setups. I also want to back out to co-op. I have played quite a bit of co-op, special ops, regular special ops as well. Got all the basic gimme, collectibles for that. Play a lot of co-op with friends. It's just a really good thing for team building and such. My default loadout that you see here is just for the lulz. I have a bunch of setups that you'll see. I've got the derp setup, I've got the derp setup, I've got the custom loadout. I like to use this one especially as my default on the main screen because it makes you look really dumb, carrying nothing but a shield, no weapon whatsoever. But while I'm here, I have one main PvE loadout slot that I typically use, and I change it as I go through different things. So this right now is fully experimental. I've got stuff that I like. I've got stuff that I have worked on, but presently I just started working, as you can see, just started working on the FN Scar. I'm looking for something to give me a little bit more range. I mean, I've barely unlocked anything there. Look, level 3. I'm just looking for something that is automatic, but that I can use for a little bit more range as an optional when running overkill, actually for multiplayer. That's the reason that I've picked this up. And then Origin, I've been working on for basically a Juggernaut killer in the Juggernaut heavy levels. Like I've been doing plenty of just ranking up and grinding in Strongbox this season, but I think I actually like the R90 better, at least so far. Of course, I've got a lot more going on with the R90. Yeah, there we go. That's my actual setup for it, and it has just worked pretty well for me. That has worked out pretty well. That works nicely. That's a must, and this is just kind of a a little plus. But in reality, my real PvE setup focuses on this as the main. The M4 is a gun that I picked pretty early on when I started playing the game, just in general, after testing, just barely testing a bunch of other stuff out, and I hadn't looked up gun stats and things. I just tried different ones and came to the conclusion that I liked the feel of this. I liked its damage output, and I wanted to invest in it. So I did start investing in it. It was one of the first 2 guns that I invested in heavily to get unlocks, to get everything, all the attachments made available to me. And well, shortly after I picked it, I did go online. I did check around for all best setup ever, OP 24/7 nukes, videos that are on YouTube, and realized that, oh yeah, M4 is one of the best guns in the game. Okay, well, I guess I picked well there. So this is my PvE setup for it, which I call steady. It's steady 2 because I had one before, but I call it steady, and you see weapon levels maxed out. I've got everything unlocked. I call it steady because it is set up for steadiness, for long range. I've got the big mag in there because I'm not so worried about ADS time in PvE. The big mag just, helps with the total damage output, and this gives it a little bit extra flexibility. I can take out snipers relatively quickly with this. So it just works well. Give a little extra range, a little extra stability as well. This was the, oh, this one's just recoil control. This is also recoil control. So I don't have any recoil stabilization on this, but just the total amount of recoil is brought down, which has that secondary effect on the horizontal movement as well. Let me get over to the proper, I guess before I go away, just these other things. This is my typical setup for my munitions when I go in, and I almost always run medic. It's just too valuable not to use, too valuable to a team. I usually have at least 3 medics on the team in total. So going over to my actual proper setups, let's see what we have here. So I actually have not used the M4 in a while in multiplayer. I think I've used it maybe once or so, but this is the last setup that I had for it in multiplayer. So no sight on this to keep everything nice and snappy. This was based off, which one is this based off? I think it's based off, yeah, it's based off zip tie. I had been using the purest one before. I think I might actually go back. No. The purest, right, the purest has the tan colored magazine, and I wanted something that was more consistent just to not stand out. Because why not? If you're gonna try to blend in, I mean, you saw my operator selections. If you have the ability to try to gain a little bit of advantage, use it, unless it costs you too much. So try to keep everything dark and to fit in. And, every once in a while, it helps a little bit to actually have a look that doesn't stand out from your environment. And it doesn't help that much always, but sometimes it does. If you can get the drop on somebody. So this one, again, has the compensator, which is really, really good. Again, has this longer and more steady barrel. But I did add in some recoil stabilization with the excellent Commando foregrip, and I've got the stippled grip tape to help counter some of the negative effects of other attachments, to keep it relatively snappy. And this also helps with the snappiness in general. And that sight package is nice. The iron sights work great. It can run out to a pretty decent range. And there you go. That's my main AR for PvE use, which I have not used too much recently. I run this just to take out, UAVs, mostly personal radar. Personal radars can actually be useful for finding the enemy, so I don't always take those out, but counter UAVs definitely take down. So I've put some good levels into this. Perk setup, yeah, EOD is useful. I don't need overkill for the most part, and then just keeping my visibility down. Shrapnel is a nice thing to have. This is not this is not the loadout that I've used most recently, so some of these things are a little bit experimental. I am not good at C4 at all yet. I've barely just started using it, and that's why I put it in here, because I need to get some practice with it. But this is the loadout that I've used a lot more lately. And the MP5 is only the most recent SMG that I have invested in fully. So I'm running the monolithic internal suppressor here, which gives me that increased bullet velocity, which you can really feel at even intermediate ranges. You can really feel the difference, at least I can, in the bullet velocity. When you send, it arrives a little bit more quickly, and it just helps with range. I am running a sight on this one. I like this one. It's small, it's far away from your eye, and it's round, and it really just has helped me to quickly get a sight picture that I want. Running the 10 mil conversion, because that's kind of a must. It's not useful in PvE. It really is not. The extra damage per bullet and the total damage output is just not good. It's better to run the bigger mags with the standard 9 mil. Got the Commando foregrip here again to reduce that side-to-side movement, and stippled grip tape just helps with your snappiness, your ADS speed. I've tried different stocks and things. I've also run different barrel to get the external monolithic suppressor also works, but this one is just, I don't know, the speed of those bullets just is something that I can really feel. But like I said, this is only the most recent SMG that I've invested in. Previously on Call of Duty, I've run this one. What? Oh, okay. Like, what have I unlocked here? This was the last one that I ran before, that I ran up. The Steyr Aag. I had wanted early on in the game to love this gun, and I tried it, and I didn't early on before I got any attachments, any upgrades for it. The reason that I wanted to love it is that I had at once wanted to get a real one of these in real life. I've since lost some of that love for it. It's a pretty good setup for a bullpup in terms of maintenance and accessibility for diagnosing misfires and such, malfunctions. But I've in real life I've shifted my interest over towards the Chris Vector. Even though I live in California, you can get easily California legal Chris Vectors, and that's just a cool gun. Plus, it uses the Glock mags, so I can use my handgun mags with it. So that's where I've moved with that. But I did go ahead and invest in this game to see what I could do with it, and it ended up being pretty okay. I will probably come back and play with this a little bit more. The extended barrel, just increases range, also increases damage, bullet velocity, which helps a lot. This helps with the stability. I don't care about aiming stability. I do like the 5.56 conversion for this. Some people don't. I've tried both. I feel like I get just a little bit more range with this, and I do tend to be not a super fast, aggressive pushing player, even with SMGs, so I do want to have a little bit of range just available to me. Stippled grip tape gives you that extra snappiness. I have not needed an optic on this the way that I've used it. I would like to use one, but I've just not found anything else that I'd like to get rid of to allow me to put on an optic. This is just pure ADS speed, so this is a pretty decent setup. It's miles away from its base. The base no attachment setup for this, or early game setup for the AUG is not great. It's really not great. It's weak and it moves too much. But this is nice. The first SMG that I spent time on was the P90, because it's a P90. Everybody that I play with likes the P90 and liked it early on, and we were getting killed by it a lot early on, so we all invested into this one quite a bit, and it's pretty decent. Compensator here, longer barrel, again, more range, a little bit more damage at range. I've started trying to run the laser. I'm messing around with laser options on it. This is pure snappiness, ADS speed, and against that freaking stippled grip tape, it just seems to be a useful investment, of one of your 5 slots. So this one has gotten quite a number of kills under its belt. Main reason that I personally like this is because Stargate SG-1. It was a commonly used sci-fi looking weapon that would just be used. They would use replicas in Hollywood, and so I came to like the look of it. But these days, I have finally switched over to the MP5, which is easy. It's easy to get an MP5 to work well because it's the other of the 2 best guns in the game. While I'm here, I might as well show you also this one. I've got a steady setup, so this is my PvE setup for this gun, which is okay and fully loaded. Helps. Yeah. Okay. That's probably not even a good idea anymore. It's probably a bad choice there. So, yeah, I haven't used this in quite a while. Had fun with it for a time, though. Let me go ahead and put this back to where it was. And yes, this is the loadout that I've used most recently. So this reduces my visibility quite a bit, and I am using shrapnel, and I've been using the Claymore. I've probably used the Claymore more than any other lethal. I don't know. I like being able to, to get to a spot or to bait folks in. And, I've gotten so many Claymore kills. It's just always a fun thing. I'm pretty good at finding spots to place it where folks who are running EOD are not going to, find it easily. But I do also do proximity mines. I've kind of switched back and forth. Proximity mines, on the smaller maps, proximity mines are a lot easier to use. Shipment proximity mines all day, unless you're going to go C4. And I'm just not good enough at C4 yet. And I've started to get to the point where I've used the stim. The stim is usually better for folks who are better in general. So early on, when I was getting killed a lot constantly, it really wasn't useful at all. Now I'm starting to get my stats up. I'm starting to be able to survive longer, and then this allows me to play into that even farther. And beyond that, I've got a shield-based PvE set up for some ones, like Paladin. I think shield is good to run in Spec Ops. Got that steady 2 M4 on that one. And then other than that, temp. So this was a temporary setup. I was going through one of the challenges here, I think, with this one. I had originally set this one up with this guy. There we go. To get the crossbow. So this is basically the loadout that I'm just constantly changing. So I earned my crossbow using this. Got it up to level 40. Wow. Might as well take this all the way up to the top, I guess. And then finished out my recon sight kills, one of the early weapon challenges with this. You see I was running proximity mining. This was on shipment 24/7. And then also scavenger. I think I need to finish off with this. That's right. I'm still getting another challenge that requires you to get 60 scavenger uses. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back because I've actually been using it. I think that shipment 24/7 is still open as of the time of the recording of this video, as is Shoot House 24/7. So I'll finish that up, and that will be that. I'm trying with the stun a little bit. Shipment specific setup, not even really used that much. I just started using the crossbow. It is terrible early on. I suppose it gets a little bit better eventually, but not too much better. I don't know about that. Felt like it was a fair amount of work to get it. Not too much work to get it unlocked, but I don't know. And then I just had to run a Glock as a secondary just to give love to the Glocks in general, and that's pretty much it. And then I've got, like I said, a derp setup, which is just to look silly in lobbies, with the big old oil can or oil filter suppressor walking around. And then this is the one that's shield only. And then I've been trying to figure out I need to unlock a few more things to get more pink and more dumb looking. Those are all just dedicated to the lulls. Oh, I guess the last thing, kill streak select. I've not gotten a lot of kill streak action, in shipments. Yeah, you go cluster strikes. I think my highest kill count ever was 72, and before that was 68, something like that. Cluster strike is just gold for the little stuff, and this is great for everybody. Always like to run that, and I've just recently started to get good enough where every once in a while I'm able to pull one of these in, and that's pretty useful. Never got used to the Wilsons. Kind of hate them, really. And that's about that. I've not really run ground war. I've not done ground war very much. This is the the field upgrade to run, I think. But yeah, I've not really done ground war, so I don't have a ground war specific setup. But that's one of the reasons that I have been working on things like the SCAR. I've been working towards getting the SCAR set up. I want to find something that I can use where I can have like the lightweight M4 chosen as my primary, which I think would be pretty good for just running around. This is not, this is not it, is it? See, this is the one that I didn't want. This is the purist based one. Yeah, light 2. So that's the difference. See, that magazine just stands out like that. This just blends in better. Yeah, so I want to, for ground war, I want to run this as my primary for low to medium distances, and for a secondary, I probably won't go anti-vehicle. I'll probably just go for something that is more long range. And so I'm working on the SCAR, see if that gets me anywhere. It might not. I'm not a great sniper user in general myself, but I might eventually start trying to use some of those, or I might go in the direction of trying to set up a LMG for longer ranges. You know, something with a scope on it. If I can get something that's relatively snappy, just run one of those. I've just not used the LMGs very much. I've used the SAW, the M91, just because it's the SAW, you know, and it's fun. But yeah, need to work on that. And there you see the perks of the job mission is active, where I need to get those scavengers. That was like 3 rounds. I got the 47 out of 60, so that'll be done quickly. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Call of Duty. Never thought that I would be a Call of Duty player, but it just kind of worked out this time around, you know, with this release. Pretty much everybody that I game with presently was like, hey, what do you think about Call of Duty? You want to try Call of Duty? I'm like, yeah, Call of Duty, it sounds like it's going to be a good one. And yeah, I think I was one of the first in my group to get it, and then I helped to convince still more to get it. And we play when we can. I go solo when I'm not able to get the group together, and I've had fun with it. And yeah, it's fun playing with guns and shooting people and stuff. So that's it. I will cut this off. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you again eventually. Bye for now.